one thing that has definitely changed is sometimes I feel so overwhelmed.
That walk was how Joel was conceived.
There's so many things, guys, there's so many things. But some days, Lord, it's not easy. And date night and quality time has definitely impacted on that. James, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's totally gone out the window.
Hi guys.
I watched so many of your videos.
Why is he always mocking me? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
Okay, some people.
I have a guest. I have a special guest with me. It's my husband, James.
Hey, people.
Introduce yourself.
James, thank you guys. Do you know the reason why I'm even here? By popular demand. Thank you for all of the comments.
It literally is popular demand, guys. I've had DMs, I've had comments saying that we need to see James more in the videos. James now thinks he's a comedian because of all of your comments.
You know, no, I have to admit, I'm actually funny. I'm actually funny. Like,
He is, but don't leave your day job, James. Please don't leave your day job. Anyway, so I thought it would be nice, guys, to bring James back on here and do something a little bit different. I thought it would be nice to bring James on here, like say maybe once a month. We'll see what you guys think, just to have conversations, like real conversations with each other about relationships, about marriage, about kids, about parenthood, about anything that you guys want us to talk about. But there are a few things that I thought I would like us to talk about on here. Yesterday, I actually messaged James and I was like, James, can you join me in a YouTube video? Because I really want to talk about this. Because initially I was thinking to talk about it by myself, but I think it would be better to have my husband on here, because I really wanted to talk about the reality of actually having two toddlers and our experience of going from being married, just the two of us, for 7 years, and then the drastic transition of adding a child into the mix, and then adding another one 18 months after, and then basically starting our journey of motherhood with two under twos, parenthood with two under twos. It was a huge transition, guys. It was a huge transition, and I thought it was only right for both of us to have that conversation, because James is a very present dad, you know, doing a great job. Yes, he's working hard. Yes, he's working hard and stuff, you know, looking after all of us, but he's still very much present. And I just thought, and I thought it was only right for both of us to share both our experiences. And I thought it would be good to also hear a man's perspective, as well as, you know, the normal mums you hear us always talking about motherhood and how it's going. So basically we're going to talk about how having children has impacted our relationship, some negative points, some negative experience that we've gone. Stop. You know, the journey hasn't been smooth, so we will share the reality of the hard times. Stop. But we will also share our beautiful, you know, experiences that we have, our memories that we've built with our boys. We absolutely love them, but some days, Lord, it's not easy. So anyway, a little bit of a backstory. We have been married for 10 years now. We had our first child, I think it was at 7 years, or just after or just before. I can't even calculate it, because Joelle's going to be 3 on Sunday, and we have a 1-year-old. So we have a 1-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. So we are currently in the toddler stage, and they are really, really toddlering at the moment. They are testing those boundaries. They have got loads of emotions. They've got loads of feelings that they find hard to express. So they express through hitting and pushing and shouting and throwing themselves on the floor. So we're really going through it at the moment. I have to say, we're really going through it at the moment. And I think because we have 2 small children, a lot of you guys would relate. It is a challenging time, because they are still so dependent on mum and dad. They are so dependent on us for everything. And because there's 2 of the little humans that need us for everything, it's not easy. So yeah, we just thought we'd have a real conversation about touching on some points, and also share some tips that's worked for us. So I think I'm going to start. And the first thing I want to say, one thing that has definitely changed is just being able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, go where you want to do, buy what you want to buy, you know, just to be that freedom. I kind of feel that now that we're parents, I don't feel like we have that freedom like we used to have, because when it was just the 2 of us,
just the 2 of us,
hey, we can make it if we try. Literally, when it was the 2 of us, me and James would just decide if we want to go on a walk at like midnight, if we want to go and eat something at this time, if we want to go try. Stop!
Sorry, yeah. Go.
You're so annoying. But do you know what I mean?
That walk was how Joel was conceived.
He's actually
I'm
annoying.
joking.
Just that free, but do you know what I'm saying, James? Just that freedom of just being able to do anything. Wake up, no. You know what I miss the most? Is the lying in on the Saturdays. I mean, guys, Saturdays. Oh, that line on the Saturday is gone. Like, it's absolutely gone.
And now it's like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
You get Joel just
7.
Joel
just
bust through the door, and then he's got that
He's
smile.
smiling.
Smile.
Walking into the room
Then
every morning.
He comes on top of the bed and comes in between us. Yeah.
All the time. I love it. Wouldn't change it for the world. But I do miss those moments of just being able to sleep. Or like, you know, the after church nap. Or, you know, the times that you could just be free and do whatever you wanted to do. We can't really do that anymore because we have 2 toddlers, and you've got to think about the childcare. You've got to think about where they are. You've got to think about how long you have childcare for, when you've got to pick them up for, the bag you need to pack to drop them off. Do you know what I mean? Even now, we've got to pick them up in about an hour and a half. So it's those kind of things that you're constantly thinking of when you have children. So that's one thing I would say that was a huge transition. It's just not having that time.
It's gone out the window.
That's so annoying. It has recently. I feel like it is literally gone out the window.
Yeah, it's gone out the window.
Literally gone out the window.
And
wait. When's been our last date?
in my dreams, recently I've had a couple of really good dreams, but
When's been our last date night?
Nando's, with the boys on Sunday.
No, with the boys.
Without the boys.
Without the boys.
I think we're going to cinema.
You went to cinema?
Bob Marley.
Yeah, that was our last date night.
Yeah, Bob Marley.
When was that?
About
last month? Yeah, about a month ago. So, yeah, date nights. And I kept saying to James, I would like us to have weekly date nights. Every time we say, yeah.
Yeah, I think
it just doesn't work.
You have to remember childcare. Like,
yeah,
of course, if my mum is close by and free, and your mum or sisters, then it's a lot easier. But when you don't have people who lastminute.com can take the kids, or you know, it's a bit hard logistic wise to get the kids around. I think that's what makes it really difficult to have constant date nights.
Yeah, and I think I was watching a video the other day. I shared, I think it was Anna and Gabe, and they shared some tips of how to make sure that you're still having that date night. So recommending things to do at home and planning in advance. So I think for me, what I'm gonna, because James isn't really good with planning date nights and stuff. It's not his thing. Although I said to him, he has to plan some because he has to. You've got to, James, because I like it. We have to, like, for example, I think the main thing, like James said, is the last minute things. I think if we plan in advance and we know that, let's say, every other week on this day.
But reason why I don't plan stuff at times sometimes.
No, it's not. No.
2 spa days that I bought you. Guess what? Didn't use them. Expired.
Yeah, that's not.
That could have been a nice. That could have
date night.
That could have been a nice date night.
That's not date night.
Spa. I would take you to a restaurant afterwards.
Would you have taken me to a restaurant?
Yeah,
No, you wouldn't, because he would watch the kids. Anyway, James, like I was saying, is that I think one way for us, because we've been trying to say how, is to plan in advance. So not just be like, James, we need to, not just say we need date night or we haven't been having date night. We actually have to plan it how we're going to do it, because we do have a nanny close by who can watch them for date night. We do have your mum. We do have, now my mum is here, but she's only here for like a month or 2 months. I do have my sister. So, but if we give people enough notice, then it can happen. But I think because we don't plan, I think we need to plan it just as we plan work and things for work and things like this. We need to prioritize date night. And that's the word, prioritizing. And I don't think we've made it a priority.
Yeah, totally.
But we need to make it a priority.
We have to also factor in that we're both super driven, working super hard at work. So I work a lot, and Desreen also works with your social media. We then got 2 demanding kids, and then we also got to like keep the house maintained. We've also got like a lot of stuff that goes on, and then we're tired at times. We just, whenever we do get a little bit of time, you really just want to rest and just do nothing. So I think there's a bit more to it than that, and people have to factor that in. Yeah,
that's true. Another point, so the second point I think I want to touch on is, I think since getting married, that we have definitely argued more. We've definitely bickered more. We've definitely got upset more. And I definitely think it's the build-up of tiredness of having the 2 demanding children. And because we the kids are always at home. The kids are predominantly at home. We have childcare here and there, like, but it's usually only if we need to go somewhere, just the two of us. Like if we've got something that we need to go to, or if it's usually if we really have something to go to. But usually they are at home, and I find that, like James said, it's the tiredness, or, you know, when you feel like you've got a break or whatever. So I feel like sometimes because of the tiredness, because of his pressures from work, because of, you know, my work, I think I've found that since being married, we definitely argue a lot more than we used to, than before the kids were here. We would be a little more sensitive, we'd be a bit more touchy. Like, you know, you can say one thing and I would get really, really upset, or James would get really, really upset, or I would get really emotional. And I find that when I sit down and think about it, and I've said it to James, I think it's because we haven't had time to just like relax, or like quality time for us to just, you know, be together. It's just a constant on the go. Yeah, that's what it feels like sometimes, because it just feels like we're constantly on the go. It's like if you do something, it's like, I don't know, it's like tension builds up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So even recently I was saying that some nights I'm like, James, let's just go to bed, just to make sure we have an early night, because now the kids were going, and the kids go through regressions and things like that, but thank God we're back in order. Some days I'm like, James, we need to go to bed just to have a nice rest.
And that's what you have to factor in as well, that Joel and Ruben, they may cry, and Joel, he can come out of his bed, so he's constantly just coming to the bed, and like, I'm the one.
He was doing that,
putting him back and forth into bed. Des, of course, you as well. You get involved in that as well.
It's both of us,
And Ruben as well, and he doesn't want to sleep. Then we have to bring him to the room, and then
settling and putting him back into the. And even it's even though we do consistently put them back, that's still time. Like, you know what I mean? It's still, because I know some mums would just say they come back
breaking asleep.
Yeah,
sleep's been broken.
Yeah, exactly. And some people will say it's easier just if they come once, just leave them in their bed. But we don't want them to get into the habit of it. So sometimes we are up, like, literally back and forth until they fall asleep in their bed. You know, but. I remind James, and we kind of have to remind each other, it is just a season, because soon there will be, and like I said, it's most of the time it's just seasons. It's just usually when they regress, and now we've noticed that Joel now doesn't need his nap, so that's another reason why he's waking up. So it's just those moments that it come and go. Sometimes we'll be having our sweet sleep, they'll be sleeping like 12 hours like straight, no interruption, and then a regression comes, or then this comes, and then that's how parenthood is anyway. But I found that since being married, we definitely have a little bit more of those arguments. And I definitely think it's because of the pressures of our work, our life, which normally come with a normal couple, the demands of the kids, the tiredness, and also, I think, not having that quality time. And guys, I think I was saying, James, I think it's really important for couples to still have that time, because sometimes when you're in the routine of like being on the go, it could then start to feel like, you know, you're just parents to the kids. You're just like, you're working, I'm working. Okay, we're gonna eat together. We're gonna do, like, it's just. Do you know what I mean? You need to have that quality time where you pause and you focus on your relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I was saying to James, one thing that we're gonna do is to actually plan date nights, because guys, date nights have been out the window.
But as I said, like, I don't know, with the kids as well, you have to remember that we're now in grind mode, in wealth building mode, trying to really do well and break through so that our kids can have a better life than us, I think.
Yes, but there has to be balance, because we still have to have a good lifestyle at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. But to summarize, pressures of work, kids, tiredness.
Yeah, those are some of the reasons why we would argue.
Periods, of course, and hormones and all the changes. Intimacy.
Even intimacy. Let's talk about that then, James. How has that changed since you've been married? It has changed.
It felt like back in the days when I made the decision to stop all the sleeping around and get right with God. Yeah, look, it's tough. Of course, you're used to a certain level of intimacy, and you know, when you're not intimate, when you're both constantly working and the kids and the pressures, you do kind of drift from each other. I feel like, you know, you're lying in bed, for example, you're like, you're so annoyed with the person, you never want to like give them a hug. It's like,
don't even want to touch, you know, you're like, don't even want to.
Move your stinking hands.
Yeah. It happens. Anyway, you guys who are married and who have children, you guys know what we're talking about, and that's why I want to have these conversations, because it happens. But the thing is with me and James, I find that and I even spoke to him about it the other day on Sunday, because I think we're really emotional. We are both really emotional because we will get offended by each other and like not talk, but then we'll go from not talking to be like on the best terms, and then in a couple of days we'll have like an argument, and then it's literally like up and down. And I found that recently when it's like that, it's because there's so many things going on. I think like James was saying, like with the work, with the pressure, with the tiredness, with the house, with I don't know, there's just so many things on our heads. And I think as parents, as an adult, let me just say adulthood, like this is really adulthood now, and I feel like we're in the midst of it now. Like we're not young anymore, and I think I've had to come to realize we're not young anymore. We're actually building our own lives. We're building our lives for our children, so we need to really work hard. We need to make sure there's food on the table. We need to make sure there's, you know, light in our house. We need to make sure we have time with the kids. And then it's hard, like kind of balancing it all, as well as like finding time to spend with family, time to spend with friends
as well.
Friends. Yeah. Oh, it's been so hard for me. There's so many things, guys. There's so many things. Literally, that's why I said sometimes I feel so overwhelmed. I feel like sometimes I'm not being a good friend because I don't have much to give right now, or the little bit that I have, it's not enough. So then sometimes I think it's not enough. So let me just keep it to myself right now. Do you know what I mean? There's always something, and I think all of those pressures can add to the intimacy. So we have to make it a priority to spend that quality time together. And I've said to James, like sometimes just having a break from the kids and planning. So like I was saying about the whole date night thing, we need to make like, because there are options. We do have a nanny if we need her to babysit. You do have your mum. We do have my sister. But it's just, I think because we don't plan in advance, sometimes those things don't happen. But I think one thing we'll do that we want to start doing is start making time for them, because when you have that time when it's just you two, then you can really let your hair down and, you know, speak without any interruptions and really share what you're going through or your feelings and just have fun again. Because sometimes in the midst of it, you're just like, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. You don't really have the fun side of things, you know. But you were going to say something about the friends and that kind of stuff. What do you find?
Yeah,
and time and
it's just like even like
and church, even going to church. It's just like there's so many.
Yeah, like look, you have to remember we live in London, the UK, where it's like it's the rat. We're in the rat race. Like it's just everything's of course inflated, expensive, and you know you need to work. You need to work extremely hard. You need to work really smart. You need to win, overcome to thrive in this country.
Yeah.
And then it's not just my missus and the kids it affects. Even my friendships. It's times when I'm so tired. I don't call my boys as I'm supposed to, and
to catch up.
I'm about to call them, but then something happens downstairs. Des needs help with Ruben and Joelle, and then the phone call I'm supposed to make to my friend, I don't make it today, and
then sometimes I remind him. I say, "Oh, you haven't called this friend," and because it just really. Yeah, it really is. And I think it's like even my big sister was saying that I think sometimes Desreen and James, we have to remember we've got 2 small children. So it's just a season at the moment that is like that. For example, like they're going to be in childcare 3 more days, you know, from next month, which gives us a little bit more time. So we can maybe plan to have a date day because I found that on those 2 days that I had to do work, it's not enough. 2 days is not enough. Because it's just not enough, so I need an extra day. But now I also want that extra day to see like if I need to rest that day, or I have other things, my appointments and, you know, stuff that I need to go to, or have a date day with James. I just found that those 2 days. So just putting things in place that will help us have that time together to just relax. And I think definitely being more intentional about friendships and stuff is something that I touched on at the end of the years that I want to do. And I find that for now, I was even saying to Desreen and I think Sareti, that I know what I can give, the best I can give at the moment. And I've had to communicate that to my friends. I've had to say, currently, this is how much I can give, or this is how much I can be present. And literally what we do now is put something in the calendar, even if it's next month or the end of the following month, it's in there. So I know that day is happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's worked for me. That's worked for me to try and keep in touch. Or or sometimes if I do have time for the spontaneous ones, I will make that happen. But currently, those planning in advance is the only way it will work. And that's what I think we need to continue doing with our date nights and stuff.
And it's a good point that I don't know how we're going to chop this up, but in one of the videos we spoke, we mentioned about the importance of like, well, for me, I live by my diary.
Yeah.
So in regards to gym, in regards to like work, activities, lunch, time, and I always say to Desreen that if you want to do something, make sure you tell me the time and and I need to look at my diary to see if it's possible to do. So if you, I don't know, I know some people say it's not really good to live by your diary, but I find it's really helpful to like live by your diary and block everything in, and that's including going out with my friends as well.
Yeah.
Whenever I set something with my boys, I put it in my diary as well. So that's sort of the way we can come.
Of course, we need to get the kids in a minute.
Yeah, I know actually.
This is what I'm saying. I didn't even realise the time.
So I think one thing we need to do, this is a tip, with, someone told me this actually, you have to remember that you have time for yourself, time with your partner, time with your kids, and they even went down one step, time with each individual kid, time as a family. So you have to remember there's like...
And time with God as well.
Yeah, time with God, and then time with friends as well. So you have to realise that we've got so much that we have to do and prioritise.
Yeah, and I would say sometimes that does feel overwhelming for me. I don't know if James can speak about that. But sometimes that does get a bit overwhelming for me, because then I keep thinking, I feel as though I'm letting people down. Like, I'm either letting my house down, I'm either letting James down because I can't spend enough time with him. I'm either letting my kids down because I don't feel like I have enough energy for them. I'm letting my friends down because I'm not really there. I'm not even a good friend. So then sometimes you feel like you're falling short because you can't meet every single relationship, or you can't give your best in every single relationship because you're so busy. But I've just had to come to understand that this is just a season that I'm currently in, and right now I physically and mentally I can't.
Yeah, I think if we as well put in our diaries this month or this week, or however we do it, time with Desreen and the kids, time with the kids, like we literally set aside time that we're going to have for each other, as well as friends as well. Every month or every other month, we put a time in when we're all going to meet up for football, or even a weekly basis going to football, and using that time to play football as well as catch up with each other.
Yeah. That's what I think so. And another point, because we've literally got 9 minutes before we need to go pick up the kids. And another point I wanted to talk on is arguing and bickering. I feel like since being married, we argue. Like before, James, we hardly argued.
Yeah, no.
Before the kids, like we hardly argued, we hardly had disagreements. But since having the kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. I was just thinking, like, why? And I think we probably, anyway, you guys are going to let us know in the comments what you guys think about what we're talking about. But I definitely think some of the reasons is because of some of the things we spoke about. It's all of the pressures that we think that we have from the world, like all of the pressures and feeling stretched in so many ways that sometimes that tension and everything can build up, and sometimes you let it out on the person that is closest to you, because I'm not going to let it out on anyone else because I'm not living with them. So it's James that is, going to take it out on. Or sometimes if you feel that the person isn't understanding you the way that you've expected them to understand you, or the way that you've expressed something they haven't received in a certain way, then do you know what I mean? And sometimes you can just become more emotional and sensitive just because of how you're feeling. And I think recently I said to James, we have to communicate a lot more in regards of how we feel. And I think sometimes with James, I found that, I don't know if it's a man thing, but he will just be getting on with life and doing his own things and just keep everything in. And I think sometimes that could then build up to then, that could just come out in a different way that you didn't even mean, or you didn't even feel like it, but because it's kind of been built up, it will come across a certain way when you didn't mean it. But for me, I can only say that I think sometimes the feeling of stress or feeling overwhelmed or feeling tired because of my week, with the kids, work, the house, I'm tired. Let's say I'm on my period. I've got 2 baskets of clothes to clean. The stairs haven't been hoovered. I've got this meeting to go to. I've got this thing to go to. I need to get the boys' clothes. There's so many things that was always on my head, and I think sometimes the pressures and stuff builds up. And let's say we haven't really had that quality time, that alone time for us to just, sometimes when I find that it's back to back like that, I find that there's periods when it's back to back, it gets really, really stressful. Those are the times I find most that we argue and we have our little bickering.
Of course, you have to factor in work, the kids, the pressures, as mentioned. I think for me, I think intimacy plays a big part. If I'm not intimate with you,
it's true.
Then
even me as well, though, James.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think intimacy is a big part, and that's why I was watching something on socials, and it's saying that you really need to like prioritize your intimacy with your partner, because especially for men, like, we don't need much. We just need our bellies filled, or you know what clears. Sorry, I said you know what clears, because the
James,
kids
please carry on.
we need to be fed, respected, and
Intimate
and
with our
intimate
spouse.
with our
And I
partner.
agree. I agree. I definitely know that it's more from James, and also it depends on your love languages, all of that. So I also think, you know, people's love languages being met helps get through those things, because your love language is your love, my love language is my love language, and I think sometimes in the midst of everything in life, those things can sometimes be pushed aside. And I think it's about prioritizing them. But I definitely agree with intimacy, because I find that when there is more intimacy, you're more closer, you're more understanding, you're more sensitive, you know, to the person. But sometimes when we're tired, or we haven't had that time, or it's been a busy week, or, you know, because sometimes it is back to back. Sometimes, guys, I feel like it is back to back. It's back to back. And for me personally, now that I'm doing more work, more editing, I'm more on my computer a lot more, I find that I'm more tired and stuff like that. So those kind of things will affect if you don't have that intimate time. But also for me, it's also that quality time, like just us two watching a movie, just us two going on a walk, just us two, you know, going on a date. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but that quality time is important. And sometimes everything in the world can come in the way. So I think it's just so important to prioritize what makes your partner happy. The intimacy, having that intimate time with each other, and having that quality time with each other, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, totally.
And we're not really like big gift people. Like James, I don't need anything from James. He's not really a gift person. It's that quality time and that intimacy.
Guys, I would be a gift person, but Desreen, every day the postman.
It's not every
Every day,
it's not every
I'm
day.
signing something from the postman. The guy's like, hey,
Again, even know
we know each other.
Yeah.
Me and Billy, we get on really well now.
It's not Billy. Anyway,
me and Bill get on really well.
But he does. He did gift me recently, so he does sometimes. But I'm not that. That's not my love language. Mine is quality time, and his is everything to do about intimacy. But I would say since having children, it has affected it, because we don't have that time, or that freeness to just do it whenever we wanted to do it. To, you know, to have those quality times, those moments when we want to, because we've got the two children, or we have to think now we've got back from somewhere really nice. Let's say once when we've got to get the kids ready for bed, we've got to bath them, we've got to get them ready. Or let's say sometimes I say to James, no, after dinner we're going to do this, and then by the time after dinner comes, we've got to got to get. By the time I'm tired, or let's say they've had a long time, or they haven't settled, or they're coming out their room,
and then these lies.
James hates promises. James hates it.
Well,
James hates
like,
it.
oh yeah, maybe when the kids after, and in my head I'm like this. I'm like this. Yeah, and then when I turn my back, I'm like.
Yeah,
I just know that there's something gonna happen.
It's not easy, guys. It's not easy. But we're gonna wrap it up there, because you need to go pick up the kids. But so this is gonna be part 1. We're definitely going to do a part 2. We're going to dig in a little bit deeper and share more experiences, and just how amazing, how it's been having 2 children. We will, of course, share the beautiful, positive sides. But I thought we'll delve into some of the things that we've been facing recently. We just wanted to share it with you guys. Let us know in the comments below. Would you like to see more of these videos? What you would like us to touch on? And we'll see you guys in our next one. Bye.
See you guys.